Yo ho ho Da Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Da Mafia Report with your host, Dan Mitchell. Say that you're new here. I put out regular Buffalo Bills content as much as humanly possible. So if that's your cup of tea, do me a favor, smash the out of that like button, subscribe to this channel, and say that I really blow your socks off. Feel free to take a look at that thanks button that is right below the video as well. But no pressure. So right before we get started, I do want to remind everybody that I am giving away 2 tickets to the Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh Steelers game on week 5 of this year. And so it's super easy to put your name in the hat with this particular type of giveaway. All you need to be is a subscriber to my YouTube channel, and you need to comment on this video. I will be announcing a winner right before week 1. So without further ado, let's move on. So yeah, Da Mafia, you did read that title correctly. Today I'm going to be sticking with the exact same theme of trying to predict what each and every single room is going to look like once the Buffalo Bills finally make their final cuts right before the regular season onto that 53-man roster. Now, today I wanted to visit the running back room. And let's be honest with ourselves. If you've been watching me for quite some time, I have been bitching about this room for a very, very long time. Now, there's been several arguments saying that it had to do with the offensive line. Some people were pointing blame on the personnel that we had in this room right throughout the past couple of years. So what I wanted to do is try and give my best prediction of what this room is going to look like, and hopefully we'll finally be able to put something together. Now, there's probably going to be a lot of people in the comments being like, hey, Dan, listen, our running game really was not that bad last year. And yes, on a statistical basis, you're absolutely right. There were several categories where we finished in the top 10. However, the common denominator was Josh Allen. Say, for example, that you were to bring Josh Allen out of the picture for all rushing statistics and just our running backs, we were literally in the bottom 10, sometimes even bottom 5 in some categories when it came down into the overall rush. So there's no doubt that this needed to be addressed. So normally the Buffalo Bills ride with about 4 to 5 running backs each and every single year. I have a feeling that they're probably about to stick to that exact same element, especially if some are able to provide some type of special team help. So going down the list, number 1, I do see Devin Singletary making this team and being our RB1 for, I would probably have to say, throughout the first half of the season. Now, I was a huge doubter of Devin Singletary, especially throughout the past couple of years. And, I mean, a lot of the blame probably had to be put on our offensive line, particularly a John Feliciano and Darrell Williams by themselves. They are very good on paper in certain categories, but the run style that Devin Singletary tends to excel in are zone runs. And since neither of them really have a great resume in that category, his production has since failed. Right toward the end of the year of last year, Brian Daboll ended up adapting more so of like a gap style run where Singletary finally ended up putting up some numbers. However, now that some are saying that the Buffalo Bills have a very, very athletic line, I think that Devin Singletary might be able to actually have a good season, and I won't be shitting on him on a regular basis when I drop my post-game reactions. I do see Devin Singletary being the RB1. I'm crossing my fingers that I see even a glimpse of exactly what he was like during his rookie season. Next up is going to be James Cook. I mean, obviously, we ended up spending a draft pick on this guy. I'm very, very excited to see how he sort of goes into this offense. I could really see him starting off the season about maybe about 20 to 30% of the workload, I think, in specific situations, particularly when it comes into the pass catching game. He is basically a lock, especially as a rookie. I have very high hopes, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to dive into this roster and make an impact almost immediately. Next up is going to be Duke Johnson, the NFL Journeyman. We ended up picking him up in free agency just a couple of months ago, and I really, really like this pick. I think that this pick really needs that veteran leadership that's going to be in the locker room, especially for running backs that are actually going to be taking snaps and are not so much in the special teams area side of things. I think that this was absolutely a brilliant move, especially with his ability of being able to sort of catch a pass. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. The Buffalo Bills are a passing-first offense, and running backs that have that ability that can add right to that attack they're going to be shown precedent over somebody that doesn't necessarily show as much promise in that category. Very hopeful for him, but however, I do see him being like an RB3 situational type running. Next up is going to be Taiwan Jones. I see him being an absolute roster lock at this point. I mean, he's been with the Bills for quite some time. I think that he provides a great skill set, especially for our special teams, and so he is 1,000% a lock as well. And then last but not least, you're probably going to think that I'm going to say Zach Moss, but you are mistaken. I am seeing Reggie Gilliam as being the 5th running back that will be on this squad this year. Number one, because he's used as a running back, maybe even a fullback, a tight end. Who even knows what he's going to be at this point? But the guy really ended up showing flashes, and in certain situations, he really ended up delivering. I have a feeling that Reggie Gilliam is going to lock up this 5th spot, and hence you see our final roster. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, Dan, why the would Zach Moss not be on this roster, man? Because he's going into his 3rd year. Well, let me tell you what, Dal Mafia. I really think that the way that the Buffalo Bills offense has progressed, I really don't see a fit for Zach Moss at this point. I mean, we drafted him basically wanting to assist with those short yardage scenarios, and at the end of the day, he even really wasn't producing in those situations. I do understand that he got hurt in the 2020 playoffs. He came back. Maybe there was something still lingering. But at this point, I feel like the writing is just on the wall. I mean, last year he was benched week 1 when he was 100% fine to play. And then the 14 games he did play, he really didn't leave much of an impact, maybe besides a couple of like pass catches in the end zone, which are nice, but he's not predominantly known as a running back that can catch the ball in certain scenarios such as this. I just don't see him being a fit on this team. I think that Duke Johnson coming in, and then of course with James Cook, I really think that those two are going to sort of squeeze him out based off of the abilities that they are able to put out in the field. I think that Taiwan Jones would definitely not be replaced with Zach Moss because Zach Moss doesn't have the special teams capability as Taiwan, and then Reggie Gilliam just because he's such an absolute unit and an absolute utility tool like on this team by itself. And then with Singletary, that just goes without saying. I really think that Zach Moss is going to be on the casualty list this year. Now, Dal Mafia, that is my prediction of what I'm thinking the running back room is going to look like. Do me a favor and please leave a comment on what you think the running back room is going to look like. And so do you have any grievances with me about cutting Zach Moss? I really want to hear your thoughts. And so Dal Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in to yet another edition of the Dal Mafia Report. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.